It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the CSU Bakersfield Roadrunners head volleyball coach, Coach Giovana Melo. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching at college women's volleyball?
Yeah. So when I was in college and I was playing at Arizona State, I actually tore my ACL on my senior year. And then I started, that year, obviously I had to sit and started seeing the game from the sidelines, and I enjoyed it. And I had the opportunity to become a grad assistant. And then it kind of was what kind of got me started into coaching, and I fell in love with it. And from there on, I just continue coaching, and here I am today, so many years later. And when I first came to United States, I actually didn't think I was going to coach. It wasn't ever in the back of my mind that I would coach, but here I am. I guess, certain things in life lead you in that direction. And I'm pretty happy to do what I do.
As a collegiate athlete, what was that experience like playing for Arizona State?
It was pretty awesome. Like I said, I came from a different country. I came from Brazil, so I was, I'm very thankful to have had the opportunity that I did. I loved competing, which was at the time the Pac-12. It was so competitive. The conference was extremely competitive. The games, like having the fan base that we did, just being able to compete in a high level was an experience that I don't think we realize, how lucky we are to do what we do. And that's something, as a coach now, that I try to pass to my athletes. But as an athlete, I think that you take it for granted as you're going in these days, because days are hard. You have to work really hard every day to get better. And I think we take it for granted, how thankful we should be in the opportunity that we have to, receive a scholarship. For me, being in a different country, get the opportunity to play in a high level, it was a pretty amazing experience.
Of course, for you as a player, what was that experience like coming from internationally and playing in the U.S. on the college level?
Yeah, when I first came to United States, I didn't speak in English. So I had to go to a junior college, Western Nebraska Community College. And, the process of learning English was very difficult. So I would say, I don't know, my first couple of months in United States, I didn't, I struggled a lot. I remember pretty much crying every day. Like, I don't understand anything. I don't know what I'm doing here. But as I got comfortable, I think then understanding the language, the culture, being a part of, what the sports are here, there isn't really a comparison to anything, in any other countries. Like for me in Brazil, the opportunity to play and get a degree and play in a really high level is something that we don't get to do there. So I think that, it's all the type of experiences that you get to do, and the things you get to do that sometimes, if you compare it to different countries, it's not the same. Like the level of investment in college athletics is so huge, and it's becoming bigger and bigger for female, sports and women's sports, which I think is awesome what's happening right now in our country. So I think it's an experience that I truly enjoyed it. I honestly have nothing but great things to say of, my entire college career.
How's that feeling like getting to represent Arizona State and putting on that volleyball uniform for them?
Yeah, it's thinking about it now, it's pretty humbling for me to kind of go back and have that thought process now that I coach, and I get to do what I do. But I think it was a pretty amazing, to get you put down that jersey and have that, every single time that you're competing for a Division 1 in a high level, it's an experience that, I don't think I can compare it to any other experience. Like, it taught me a lot as a person. It taught me a lot as a student athlete. Going through time managing, figuring it out, what is it like day in and day out to still be able to come in and compete in a high level as a Division 1 athlete. It's something that you really can't, it's hard to put into words sometimes, I would say.
What was that transition like for you, going from being a player to getting into coaching and coaching at Arizona State?
It was hard because I think I still kind of, my mind was still as a player. And a lot of times I had to kind of, okay, what is my role here? And I have to respect both sides of it, because I still, as being a grad assistant to start, before I was a grad assistant, and I was a second assistant. So going in that transition, I thought, it was hard trying to figure it out. Where's my space? Where do I go here? Like, I'm a coach. I have to have the head coach and the assistant coaches back, but I also do understand, what the players are going to. So I think it's just kind of finding that common ground, and figured out that balance of where I stand and still have the respect from who were just my teammates, and now they have to respect me as a coach. So it was hard at first, but I think once I found a little bit of that space, I truly enjoyed it, and I think that experience got me where I am today.
How was your time like going back to become the head coach at Western Nebraska Community College, where you also played?
Yeah, it was super fun, difficult, of course, but I had just the coach. So the coach who I played for was Chris Green, and he was the one who was leaving, and obviously I was replacing him, and he had just won a national championship. So I was like, everybody, you have big shoes to fill, you have big shoes to fill. And I remember just like, all right, these are my shoes. I'm gonna do whatever I can to kind of figure it out. Who do I want to be? And I had experienced different coaches, so I needed to figure it out. Okay, who am I all about, and what do I want to do with this program? But and it was the coolest experience was the fact that everybody who had already been there for me as a player now were there for me as a coach, and I think the support system was what really got me through it, and got me into growing as a head coach. I mean, I had obviously never been a head coach, so you just get thrown in the middle of the fire, and you have to make decisions you never had to make before. And so I think it was a lot of learning. No head coach can say that you're not learning as you're doing it, and I feel like every day was a new experience for me. But I I think the reason why I was able to be successful is because I had a really good support system.
Of course, what was that experience like for you first becoming a head coach on the community college level before going Division 1 to become a head coach?
Yeah, I think I like I said, I think it was a pretty great experience to be able to do that without have ever been a head coach before. But I think I had really good support system, and I had a really good role models, and just mentors who were always there for me and helping me. Like, if I had any questions, I knew I could call, and I could help me figure some things out. And I think trying to figure it out who I wanted to be as a head coach was an important part of that whole process. But it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed coaching at the junior college. Having players every 2 years was, I enjoyed my relationship with them. I think that was something that I truly loved about being in a junior college, is that they're very passionate. They love what they're doing, and they know that they're going to move on to try to go to Division 1, some Division 2, some NAIA, and you're kind of placing them. So it's a super fun experience to be a part of.
For you as a coach, what was that transition like, going from the community college to Division 1 level and coming to CSU?
I think it was obviously I think there is a lot of things that needed to change, that I needed to adapt. Of course, when it that it had to do with rules. It had to do with NCAA rules that, were completely different from being in a 2-year college, but also the level, that we were competing, the players that we were recruiting. But who I was, I don't think ever changed. I think I've always been a similar coach that I love, my relationship with the athletes, and I was still able to, I still to this day am able to do that. And I pride myself in that, where I am now. And even when I was at the junior college. So I think there was a lot of adapting that I had to do, but, again, I went through day in and day out trying to learn and doing the best that I possibly could to do the best for this program.
What was that feeling like when you got announced to become the next head coach for SSU Bakersfield?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, pretty humbling. I don't think, in my growing up or even as a player, I ever thought, I would be here. So it was a pretty exciting experience for me. I was super happy to, become the head coach, and believe it or not, been here 10 years since, and it's been, I've loved being a part of this program.
How's that feeling like the first time you got to step onto that volleyball court as a head coach?
Yeah, it was, pretty similar, like just a lot of emotions. But I think, when you're kind of in the grind of things and trying to figure it out, there's a lot of, excitement, nervousness, and all the emotions that come with it. But I was pretty ready to take that step and take, steps with this program and help this program grow. So yeah, it's kind of hard to think about it back. It's been such a while back, but I don't really think that in that moment I was really thinking of, what do you feel like in these moments, because you really don't until time passed. And then now, you're asking me these questions. I'm like, man, what was it like when I first started that first year? I don't remember much of it. It was definitely a blur, but it was such a cool experience, and I am thankful to have, been picked and to still be here to this day.
As a head coach, what has it been like getting to build that coaching staff around you and the players around you?
It's been super fun. I think, things have definitely changed in the college world. And so I think, having a coaching staff that is supportive and is there for, have the similar mentality of what you're wanting to accomplish is an extremely important part of being a head coach in a Division I college sports. And then, players buying in on what you wanting to do is also a pretty big thing. So I think, it's pretty exciting to go day in and day out as a coach, trying to figure it out what's next, trying to figure out how to make the program better, but yet having people around you that are supportive of what you're doing.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've built for the volleyball program?
Yeah, I think that we, as I said, from the beginning, from day one, what I really wanted to do was to for sure build a successful program. But I think I wanted players who wanted to play for me. I wanted players who wanted to be a part of, a family atmosphere, that no matter what, no matter what we're going through, that we have people who are there for each other, and the relationships are very important. So I think, trying to get to this point together, in the last 10 years, I feel like the culture has changed, here and there based on kind of the athletes that you do, but not one time we have stirred away from um, focusing on relationships and family and making each other better, and consequently making each other better on the court, and of course, winning games as part of the consequences of that.
What does a typical game day look like for you as a coach versus for your players?
I would say probably fairly, I mean, a little similar, but for the players, of course, we come in, everybody together. We have normally it depends. We play, so on the Big West, we play Friday and Saturdays. So if we're playing on a Friday, normally we will watch film the day before. If we play on a Saturday, we'll watch film the day of. But we normally have, a film session. We have a serve and pass. Then after that, we go to lunch because we do our serve and pass in the mornings. Then after that, we go to lunch, and we kind of go in our separate ways. So for us coaches, obviously we go to the office. We kind of do some, last minute things that we need to do to get ready for the game. The players sometimes have a little time to go to class in between serve and pass, and the game. So when we report back for the game or in our pregame meal, then obviously everybody's together again. And then we go to, they get ready. After the pregame meal, they get ready. We go again to our offices, kind of get, ready for the game, and we meet in the locker room and game time. So I think, everybody kind of has their own things that they do that we each do. But I think for me, for sure, a part that I really enjoy is coming home in a little bit of that break, getting ready, kind of getting my mind into, game day and going back. When I go back for our pregame meal is when I kind of really get locked in and get my mind ready for the game and excited to play another match.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against each week?
Yeah, we have a super competitive conference now in the Big West. So, we play against Hawaii, we play against Cal Poly, Santa Barbara, Long Beach State, UC Davis. Like our conference is extremely competitive, and it's growing so much now. I think that we every game in our conference is very competitive. There isn't one game that we would say, okay, today, this match is not going to be competitive. Every match in our conference is competitive, and it comes, down to the important last minute points, 1 or 2 points to win a set, to win a match. So it's pretty exciting to be in the Big West Conference.
Of course, what is that home game atmosphere like when teams like Cal Poly comes to your home arena?
Yeah, it's pretty competitive. Every game, depending on who we're playing and the day of the week that we're playing and what time, we get a pretty decent crowd. I wouldn't say, like, based on the game, sometimes we have more people than for certain games than others, and also depending on the time. But our marketing and ticketing group tries to do a really good job with getting people in our arena. Sometimes we have some pretty special events that we have it going on, and we try to get as many people as we possibly can in the matches. And so it's pretty exciting. Like we've had matches that we even had, what we call it education day, that we bring a lot of students from other high schools or middle school around to come watch the game, and they pack the gym, and it's super loud, a bunch of crazy loud kids screaming, but super fun atmosphere. Our marketing and ticketing group do a really good job trying to be creative with different things to do to get people to come watch our matches in Bakersfield. But it's a pretty exciting, especially when the games are competitive. We get a lot of people to come watch because obviously they want to see us compete in the conference.
What is that atmosphere like going on the road and playing teams like Cal Poly and Hawaii on the road?
Yeah, I think it's, definitely going to Hawaii is as unique experience as it can get. I don't think, many people in the country can say they get that experience, get to do that every year. And so there's probably only a certain amount that you can count in your hands of, that kind of atmosphere that you get at Hawaii. And what's cool about when you go to Hawaii is just that the fans are super supportive of a good volleyball. So they cheer for the rally. Of course, they're wanting they're wanting Hawaii to win and win the point, but they really just cheer for good rallies. And that's so, I think that's so unique. You don't get to see a lot of that. And I think it's a pretty cool experience for our athletes, for us coaches to be a part of. And I think, it's not easy to play there by any means, but it's a super awesome experience. And it's the same, I would say Long Beach State does a really good job with getting a good crowd as well. Cal Poly does a good job. UCSB. I think, our conference is trying to grow when it comes to that. And I think we're, coaches are more and more trying to get more people in the crowd to get a good experience and a good atmosphere for our student athletes.
What did that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes? And as a coach, what do you look at in those prospective volleyball players?
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure, physicality is an important thing in our conference. The ability that they have, to play in a good level, physically, is important. But I think for sure for us, the intangibles of like how are they as a teammate? For us, that's a pretty important thing that we look at. We look at, of course, how is their skill in volleyball. We do believe that that's something we can help teach for sure, but certain things, that how they are with their parents, what they are when they're not doing well, like that's something that we look at. We don't just want to see somebody succeed all the time. Like when they're playing club, we watch them, how are they doing when they're not at their best? How are they as a teammate when they're not at their best? So I think looking at other things outside of just them as a player is extremely important for us here, because we are competing against other schools in a conference that are in California, and they have the beach, they have, different things that they can sell. And for us, we really need a type of recruits and type of players that want to be a part of something that is more than just winning volleyball matches. So who they are and what we are trying to build is important in the intangibles of a player, not just how they are on the court.
Of course, as a head coach, what is it like recruiting in a big state of California, as you said, and with so many different colleges in the state of California?
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. I think for us in Bakersfield, because we are a little far away and we don't have the beach nearby, which is a pretty selling point for a lot of these teams. It's difficult because, they don't. Bakersfield, unfortunately, is not known as, oh, okay, I can just, I'm gonna go to Bakersfield. Like around California, the reality of it is we're not close to any of these places. We are a 2-hour drive, so it's hard to get players from California who want to be a part of our program. But I think it's getting better for us because we're doing, a good job in conference, and we're getting better every year. And so we're trying to bring players who want to make a difference. I think that's the thing for us within California, or not if they're not from California. But I think getting players here that wanna make a difference in the program is what we're trying to do in Bakersfield, and what we're trying to sell, because it is who we are. It's the truth of who we are. We need players who want to make a difference and want to be a part of something that hasn't happened.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that Bakersfield jersey for the first time?
It's pretty exciting. It's exciting to see them start a new chapter of their lives, and just kind of seeing, them empower them to be who they want to be, and empower them to get better every single day. It's pretty cool to see what they go through, and it's even more exciting to see when they can finish in 4 years, like seeing players that have arrived here as a freshman and leaving as 4, sometimes 5 years of being here and graduating from being here, and that very first day they put a jersey and the last day they put a jersey. I think it's a pretty emotional time, not just for me as a coach, but for them as well, because you see a lot of growth, and it's a pretty it's uncommon, I think, nowadays to see many of these players stay at a place for that long now with the portal the way things are. But it's a pretty rewarding thing for a coach to be a part of.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing them achieve those first milestones in their career as a freshman volleyball player?
I think to me is the reason why we do what we do as coaches. It's very rewarding. It's exciting to see them, develop and get better, and accomplish those milestones. And I'm there, to support them, be excited for them. Because I don't think it's what they go through and what they do is an easy thing to do every day. So it's pretty rewarding for me as a coach.
What is it like getting to see those seniors achieve those last milestones and putting on that jersey for the last time?
Yeah, as I said, I think that's the biggest one right there for me. Like seeing them, develop and finish their career in the best way that they possibly can. I think as coaches, for me, it's what it's all about. Of course, I want to win games, but I think seeing the players develop and empower them to be, the best they can be, and not just finish there, like seeing them accomplish all these things, but then yet graduating and going into their next steps of their lives. I think that's them reaching out and taking, talking with you when things are hard, even after they graduate. I think that's what's so rewarding as a coach for me, and truly why I do what I do is for those milestones and those steps in their lives and being a part of their lives, when I think is a difficult thing that they don't have their parents, so I think being that role model for them and being there for them is an important thing for us as coaches.
As a coach, what is it like seeing those seniors go on and play professional volleyball after their playing career and getting into sports like Athletes Unlimited or overseas?
Yeah, I think it's incredible. I think it's exciting to see them continue to stay within the sport, and to, the players that want to do that in the next level, even after, it's something that as a coach, we thrive to see. There aren't too many, that want to do that. Like I don't know, in a year of every single year that you have, 15, 17, 18 players, probably one or two of those are striving to do that. So when you do get to see those move on and succeed, it's pretty exciting for sure.
What are some of the things that you've been able to accomplish so far at Bakersfield?
Oh man, obviously I think just the fact that we have been able to grow as a program and go from a conference where, we were in a WAC conference and we were able to win two conference championships then, and then now going into the Big West and see the growth of our program, I think are pretty big steps for us. But, I don't think that I can say, that has been enough for me. I really want to succeed in this conference. I want to take some pretty big steps within the conference and grow as a program. But I think seeing players graduate, seeing players succeed in their steps as in their career once they're graduating, seeing players succeed professionally, seeing players come back here when they need things, come back or call. Like, I think those are small accomplishments that us as coaches don't really, focus on as much, because we focus a lot on wins and losses. Of course, like I said, those are a pretty big thing, and winning it or not is why we keep our jobs. But I think that the reward of seeing players succeed as they're here, seeing them grow as they're here, and then even more when they graduate and they accomplish things in their careers, it's what I can say is like big accomplishments for me, and that can continue to happen, and something I can continue to rely on to empower them to be, whoever they want to be. I think that's so big. I think it's, there's so much going on in our world nowadays, that I think that if we can empower them to, go be whoever they want to be and help them do that is what I'd say is the biggest accomplishments for me as a coach.
What are some of your future plans for the program moving forward?
Yeah, I think we need to, we need to be making it to the Big West Conference, and we need to strive to compete in that championship. And I think, that was something that we were able to do when we were in a WAC, and then now being able to do that in a Big West are some pretty big steps. And then of course, wanting to make it to the NCAA tournament is definitely a goal.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college volleyball?
I would say to trust the process. I think, a lot of them nowadays want sometimes immediate success, and it doesn't happen like that. So I think, trusting the process is a pretty important thing that they need to do when they first arrive as freshmen.
What advice would you give those seniors looking to go play in Athletes Unlimited or even going overseas to play professional volleyball?
Yeah, to just go for it. I think, like, go accomplish your dreams, go fight for your dreams, go do what you believe is the next steps for you, and if you're passionate about going to play, go for it. I think that's, you know, what we do is to empower them to go do what they want to do. And if that's what they want, I think that they need to put themselves out there and work really hard, you know, train really hard, continue to be your best, so you can, you know, get a good agent and go play somewhere where you strive to be, and to grow as a player as you're at it.
What advice would you give those players looking to get into coaching after their playing career?
To, you know, create relationships with people, and to work hard to try to have mentors and learn about the game. I think that's an important thing to do. I think when you're an athlete, you see the game in a certain way, but when you're wanting to become a coach, there's so much to learn. I wish, you know, when I was younger, starting as a coach, I would have had a little bit more of a learning mentality than I do now. I feel like I have more of a learning mentality now than I did then. And I think that having that learning mentality and be willing to do whatever it takes is an important piece when wanting to become a coach.
What advice would you give those head coaches looking to build their own program and build their own legacy?
You know, to be who they are and try to figure it out, you know, what is it that it matters the most to them, and staying true to themselves. I think throughout my entire career, that's something that I was able to do, is to, you know, continue to build my program in things that I truly believe are important, not just, you know, for them as players, but for them as people. And I think, you know, staying true to yourself and being that role model for them to do that is a pretty big thing when building a program.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you on social media along with the program app?
Yeah, on social media, me personally, I have, you know, an Instagram, and I also on our CSUB volleyball Instagram. I have Twitter, I have Facebook. I kind of am everywhere on social media. TikTok, I don't use as much, even though I probably should, because they're all about TikTok. But I have a TikTok as well. But I would say the one I'm mostly active on is my Instagram, and that's Gia Melo. Is my Instagram, and they can find me on that on Instagram, and CSUB volleyball is our Instagram for our program.
Thank you again, Coach Giovana Melo, for your interview, and best luck in your future at CSU's Bakersfield as the head volleyball coach.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Giovana, for your interview, and best luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.